Oh shit, here we go again.
Upon its release, Star Wars Battlefront 2, not that one, this one, managed to set the record for the most downvoted comment in Reddit history. It was a game that had such a universally despised monetization scheme that it actually started the very conversation that would lead to laws being passed to make sure that this style of fuck the consumer monetization couldn't be further abused. Both this game's sheer lack of content and EA's huge disdain for the consumer led to such a backlash that EA, of all companies, did a complete 180 on the whole thing and almost removed the game's monetization completely, bar a couple of laughably pointless cosmetic purchasables. But that was then and this is now, Sharon. I told you, you need to stop living in the past. A few months ago I noticed I could nab a key for this game on Amazon for I believe £10, which is about 13 freedoms or 906 Indian rupees. So not that much. I thought that there's almost not a single other game that would be more interesting to have a look at in its current state. So how is Star Wars Battlefront 2, a year and a half later? Suddenly this is a Racevic video? I'm sorry. Well, for starters, it feels like it's lacking in content, but that said, I still can't help but enjoy this game quite a bit. At its core, it's a Battlefield game with a Star Wars skin, which is what people were complaining that they didn't want to see, but people pretend to forget that that's what Battlefront has always been in a way. It's a Battlefield game with a Star Wars skin. It has 4 core classes and it's a big team objective based game where you get laid the fuck out by the shitty servers more often than you even spawn. But the difference here is that you get to smash all your Star Wars toys together. And if you're a big old Star Wars nerd lad or lady, then you might as well stop right there, because as far as a modern Star Wars, hey, look at the things I recognise piece of fanfare goes, it's pretty good. In fact, there are some nice little details in this game that might take you by surprise. It definitely pays homage to stuff other than the movies in multiple ways. But anyways, about the game itself, Battlefront 2 has a handful of game modes, starting with its core game mode Galactic Assault and sort of the same but newer Capital Supremacy. Then all the smaller modes in no particular order are Starfighter Assault, Strike, Blast, Ewok Hunt and Extraction. You also have the free hero modes, but fuck that nonsense. In Galactic Assault you work together to either attack or defend different objectives. This can range from storming Mos Eisley Cantina to escorting an AT-AT on Hoth. In Capital Supremacy you play Conquest on the ground and whoever wins gets to try and destroy the enemy's capital ship that's flying above the battlefield. Starfighter Assault is pew pew ships, Strike is small team objectives, Blast is TDM with no heroes, Ewok Hunt am shite, Extraction is payload, and the hero modes are akin to you making lightsaber sounds as you hit your cousin with a stick. The only game modes that seem to be getting ongoing support beyond having new heroes added to them are the large-scale ground-based ones, Galactic Assault and Capital Supremacy, where you get to start as one of the game's 4 main classes. The Assault, which is your standard assault with an automatic gun and a pocket full of Operation Locker Rocks, the Heavy, or should I say Heavy? The 4 Clone Wars fans in the audience are fucking cackling, I guarantee you. Which has terrible guns but does get a sick-ass minigun, the Officer, which is a medic and a battle point printer, and the Specialist, which is somehow both the sniper and the melee specialist? These 4 classes each get a choice of one of 4 class-specific weapons, each with 3 unlockable attachments. This is as it was on release and is probably the most disappointingly untouched piece of content, especially considering that the new weapons was actually one of the things mentioned on the table for future content, yet it's still absent. But either way, the real use for these base classes is to be vessels through which to gain battle points, which is a match-per-match currency used to spawn in as reinforcements in the form of vehicles, specialised soldiers such as rocket troopers, or heroes from a selection including some of your favourites like Obi-Wan Kenobi, Princess Leia, and Phasma. This does, however, raise a question. How is this balanced? Well, the short answer is that it isn't. Look, the heroes might not be Battlefront 2005 levels of overpowered, but they most certainly have their outliers, Anakin being one of them. As it stands right now, he's the most recent addition to the game, and quite frankly he fucks the balance so hard you might as well be his little nephew. If you choose to play a villain at all, he'll just yoke round the corner and combine 2 inputs to instantly kill you. That being said, it does cost a hefty sum of battle points to spawn as a hero, and they're not exactly bulletproof. So as long as you don't mind getting shat on from time to time, you probably won't be Tarkoving your PC across the room. The core gameplay can be very fun. All the weapons have a good feel, the time to kill is satisfying but not overly punishing, and all of the classes feel viable and unique. This is, however, stretched across what feels like a limited amount of content. The lack of weapon variety makes the uniqueness within each class setup feel lacking, and almost all the maps in the game's most populated playlist, Galactic Assault, have you relentlessly pushing checkpoints Operation Metro style, and it can wear off very quickly. But this is where Capital Supremacy comes in. The March update finally added a second option for large-scale game modes, and this one actually feels pretty close to that old experience from my childhood I was craving so much. Minus the sounds of my parents arguing in the next room. and I don't own that beanbag chair anymore, but hey, it's close. Granted, as it stands, there are only 2 maps and they're locked to the Clone Wars, but hell, it took them 4 years to put any sort of conquest in mode into a fucking Battlefront game, but at least it happened eventually. As far as new content that's been added to the game, most of it has been in the form of new hero characters, which is all fine and dandy and looks good on advertising, but I'd hazard a guess that playing as a hero makes up maybe 10 to 20% of your playtime, whereas the default troopers and reinforcements who make up the rest of your play have been stuck with 2 new reinforcements and literally not a single new thing for the main classes, which comprise the bulk of the game. Don't get me wrong, what's there is enough to keep you progressing towards something, but it all feels a little misbalanced. I'm hoping that there are some weapon additions in the near future. The way that Battlefront 2 looks, in regards to its Star Wars authenticity, not the way it looks on my PC, I know it looks like shit, the variety of locations and eras is unlike almost anything else in the game. Spot on. A result of every voice line being right, so much of the environments invoking memories of the movies and TV shows, and all of the smaller details, is that this game makes you feel like Spider-Man. I mean, this game makes it feel like you're in Star Wars, and that to many people can be enough. It would be a lie for me to say that I didn't get a little giddy when I first saw ARC Troopers portrayed in a more realistic style than in the cartoon. So the verdict is, for the price I paid for this game, it's been more than worth it for me. Like, dude, I shop in Waitrose and 10 quid will net you like a single tangerine from that fucking place. But if I was asked to pay full price for Battlefront 2, I don't think I'd go for it. It's in a much better place, and I think if it never had the launch controversy, it would be far better loved as it is. But I really can't get over that content chasm surrounding some aspects of the game. Look, if you're on the fence, then go for it. But if the fence is still sitting down the other end of the garden, then you just stay where you're at, man. Just stay sitting in that chair. You don't need to go tiring yourself out to go hop over the fence for this game. Oh, and there's also a single player. It's pretty short and it's pretty naff. Don't bother.
That fight is happening right now. And he's fighting for us. For the whole planet, and I'm just sitting here eating chips. Get up, catch the bus, go to work, come back home, eat chips and go to bed.